Hello and welcome to Band-in-a-Box 2016 for Windows. In this video, we're going to show you some of the great new features available in Band-in-a-Box 2016, and along the way we're also going to show off some of our exciting new RealTracks. This year we've gone all out and are including 201 new RealTracks, including this exciting new big band jazz horn section style. We've released horn section RealTracks in the past, but never one as intricate as this one, which we're calling the Crooner jazz swing horn section. Listening to this, you can just picture yourself sipping a cocktail in Vegas, listening to a great old jazz crooner with a killer horn section. Everything you're hearing right now, including both the crooner horns and the rhythm section of acoustic bass, acoustic guitar, and drums, was created simply by typing in these chords, picking this crooner style, setting the tempo, and pressing play. Band-in-a-Box then did everything, and you can enter any chord progression in any key. I'll highlight this by making a couple of changes to this chord chart. I'll change the first few bars to a minor progression. Right away you can see a new feature that has been long requested, the ability to see the chord you're typing in the bar you're typing it as you're typing it in. And I'll change the key of the whole song. And now you can see that it's playing over our new progression in a completely different key, and it still sounds fabulous. In this video, we're going to have a look at some of the many exciting new features in both Band-in-a-Box 2016 and RealBand 2016. Along the way, we'll check out some of the wonderful new RealTracks and other new content for Band-in-a-Box. Here's a style featuring RealTracks soloing by guitar great John Herington. John Herington has been the guitarist of choice with Steely Dan for both recording and touring since 1999, and has also had an impressive solo career. And now you can have his distinctive jazz rock soloing in your own song, playing over any chord progression in any key. And that's exactly what you're hearing here. We just typed in these chords, set the tempo, and picked the style. And everything you're hearing, including this great solo, was then created by Band-in-a-Box. One thing you'll notice right away is this new great-looking chord chart, which, with new options for displaying bar lines and better-looking repeat signs, now looks more like a proper chord chart rather than a spreadsheet. Not only does the chord chart have a great new look, there is also amazing new functionality added, with layers for displaying many different things alongside the chords, such as lyrics, section text, and Nashville number notation. There's also a completely redesigned Stylepicker, which makes it much easier to find the perfect style for your song, either with the intuitive filters or by simply typing the name of a popular song to find styles with similar grooves, genres, and tempos. There's also a brand new download manager, making it much easier to download updates, not just for the program itself, but for all of the content such as RealTracks and RealDrums. Other new features include the ability to save and load XML files, something that's been requested for a long time. We'll have a much more detailed look at all of these great new features and more later in the video, but for now let's check out some more exciting new RealTracks. We have many new country styles, including a set of modern pedal steel, including this country pop rock style. The world of country music today is very different than the country music of the past. We have lots of great old school classic country, but we've also been adding more modern country styles that reflect what's going on today. And this is one of those new pedal steel styles, modern ballad atmosphere, along with chill-out drum loops and effects, with pop bass and synth, which has a great modern sound but is still rooted in the country world. And of course, we also have great new classic country styles, including a set of bent note country piano styles. This style of piano is known as bent note because it makes frequent use of grace notes into the third of the chord, doing the best possible emulation on a piano of bending notes on a guitar. It was made popular by pianists like the great Floyd Cramer. We have a set of RealTracks by pop guitar master Zane Carney. Zane has been touring and recording with superstar John Mayer and has also begun a very successful solo career. Zane is a longtime fan of Band in the Box. You can check out his testimonial video on our webpage, where he talks about the important role Band in the Box played in his own musical education.
Hi, my name is Zane Carney, and I play guitar with John Mayer right now and also do my own solo music. And I'm here today with Band in a Box recording a RealTracks session. So looking forward to playing along with you inside of your computer, apparently.
And you can have Zane's RealTracks playing your song just by typing in the chords and picking one of the many Zane Carney reel styles. We also have a new set of RealTracks by fingerpicking wizard Joe Robinson. There's a set of old-time folk with cool crossover styles. This one also uses one of our new brushes-only reel drums. We have two sets of these very useful reel drums, one more pop-oriented and one more country-oriented, and they include brushes-only styles if you want a really stripped-down sound. And there's also other very useful percussion like tambourines and shakers. And here I'm playing the same demo in Real Band, and I've added a shaker alongside the brushes drums on a separate track. Incidentally, there are lots of great new features in Real Band 2016 as well that we'll check out later in the video. It also has the great new style picker, is also able to open and save as XML, and there is a very useful feature that allows you to record a click track, setting bars and beats, which you can then automatically have a tempo map created, making your song line up to the grid. We have new surf rock styles. We've added some exciting new world styles with our Oberkrainer set. Oberkrainer is a style of music developed in the Alps and is very popular in Slovenia, Germany, Austria, northern Italy, Switzerland, and Croatia. Its very distinctive sound features baritone horn, accordion, guitar, and in many cases a two-part horn section of trumpet and clarinet. We were lucky enough to record musicians from the Austrian band Die Lungauer for these wonderful RealTracks. There are some fantastic new funk styles, including these great swing 16ths funk styles, with electric piano and wah-wah guitar. And on the harder side, we have some exciting new punk styles. There's also a new feature in song settings that lets you choose to avoid audio transposition when RealTracks are generated. This means that for some styles, especially distorted guitar styles like this, it will simply make everything sound better. And in the song settings, there's another interesting new feature, an option to ignore /root of slash chords, except the bass track. To show you what this does, I'll throw in a bunch of slash chords starting at bar 9. I'll use slash chords to create an ascending line, starting with F over A, G over B, F over C, G over D, C over E, and then I'll leave the rest. So you can see if we're just looking at the bass lines, it goes A, B, C, D, E, and then the remaining chords are F and G. So let's listen to that. And I'll play that section again with only the guitars. And you can hear that the guitar is actually playing slash chords there, which you certainly may want, but you now have the option to have all instruments except bass ignore the root of those slash chords. And let's listen now. So it basically just gives you more choices for how you want the musicians to approach the chord chart. And we have some cool new electronic music styles with our retro synths and modern R&B RealTracks set. And right now we're listening to an electronic melodic pop style from that set. Now we're going to have a look at some of the new features in more detail. With Band in a Box 2016 and with Real Band 2016, the Stylepicker has been completely redesigned with a much more intuitive layout and great filters for finding the perfect style for your song, either by filtering by elements such as feel, time signature, or tempo, or by simply typing in the name of a popular song from which Band in a Box will find multiple matches of styles in a similar vein. I'll demonstrate this by starting to type in Amazing Grace. I'll do it slowly so you can see the more letters I type, the more the list is narrowed down. I'm now able to click on Amazing Grace, which we see is a folk song, 3/4 time signature, even eighths, and our list is now filtered to show styles that match these elements. And I can now click on any of these styles to hear a sample of what the style will sound like. So of course it's not actually playing Amazing Grace in this sample, but it's playing a style that is very similar, which you could then pick to create your own song. Or you could simply type in the chords to Amazing Grace if you actually wanted to play that song. Now you'll notice that I have Include Similar enabled here. Now it's showing Amazing Grace as even eighths at approximately 85 beats per minute. So our list has even eighth styles at the top, with the very top having tempos that are close to 85. But Amazing Grace is the kind of song that really can be done at many different tempos and certainly can be done with swing eighths as well. So it's showing me other styles that don't match that, but can likely still be very good for that song, or for creating a new song in a very similar vein. But if you wanted to really narrow the list to match the exact criteria for the song you selected, you can just uncheck that. Now you can see what it's done when we selected Amazing Grace is it's entered filters in this area, known as the quick filter. Any of these items that display in green indicate that there are filters in place. So you can see it's filtering by folk, 3/4 time signature, even eighths. Now that those were all automatically set there, I could, if I wanted to, tweak these filters to find exactly what I want. For example, if I don't care if it's even eighths or swing eighths, I can simply remove that filter and try out some of the styles that have now shown up. This column shows whether styles are RealTracks and MIDI mixed together, or all MIDI. If I didn't want MIDI styles, I could filter them out here. This quick filter can of course be used just on its own as well, without using the song title feature at all. I'll press clear to remove all filters. And say I want to check out some world styles. Easy to do with a quick filter. And say now I want to narrow the list to show 16ths based styles. Irish Celtic music falls under the world category, so I can see there are Celtic reels here. And here's an old world polka style. The very simplest way to find a style in the style picker is the text filter. For example, if I wanted a punk style, I could simply type punk here. And the list is now filtered to show these styles, and I could start sampling until I found the one I wanted to use. Or if I just wanted to try out some different styles with fiddle, I could just type fiddle. Or if there was a RealTracks musician we wanted to check out, we could just type in that musician's name. We've recorded many styles with Nashville legend Brent Mason, so we could just type in his name. And the list is now sorted to show styles with Brent Mason in them. And we can start sampling to find one we want for our song. You can set the font size to however you like it. And each column is also sortable and sizable. So I could sort by feel, and all even styles are sorted together. Or we could sort by tempo. Or by date or set number to see the most recent Brent Mason styles we've recorded. As you've seen, sampling the styles is incredibly easy, as it's just a matter of double-clicking on the style to hear the sample, which plays it in this quick play area. Another way to sample the style is to actually hear it played over the chord progression of your current song. For example, we can see I have a chord progression in the key of E flat actually loaded in right now. I would use this area to actually sample any of these styles playing my chord progression. The one small drawback to this is that it actually has to generate the parts, which takes a short but noticeable amount of time. Well, you can speed that up considerably by choosing to only generate the first 4 bars. And you can see when I press play, it very quickly generates the parts and plays my song with the selected style. And I can try a completely different style too. Each one changes the tempo to the ideal tempo for that style, but I can control that too as it plays, so I can sample how fast I'll want it to play. And of course, the memo here gives you all kinds of information about the style, listing all of the instruments, a brief description, and song examples. There are also additional tools. Rebuild Styles List allows you to add your own user styles. Copy List gives you a text file with the information from your current list, and there are additional options here. With Band-in-a-Box 2016, the main chord chart has been completely redesigned and layers have been added. This exciting new feature lets you view additional information on the chord chart, and you have complete control over which elements you see. Right now, I'm playing the old Stephen Foster chestnut Old Folks at Home, or Swanee River. And I've got all of the layers turned on so you can see just what these layers entail. Incidentally, this is a new reel style that utilizes one of our new Danny Gottlieb reel drums. Danny is a world-class, Grammy-winning drummer who has played with the likes of the Pat Metheny Group, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and many other wonderful bands and artists. And we now have brand new Band-in-a-Box reel drums from Danny, including straight-ahead jazz styles like this one, as well as exciting new fusion styles. So we're currently looking at the chord chart with all of the layers enabled, so I'll describe them one by one. First of all, we can see lyrics above the chords, which is very exciting. Not only that, but these lyrics are editable right on the chord chart. You can even paste lyrics from an entire song into the lyrics layer here. We'll explore entering and editing lyrics a little later. We also have a secondary chord display. Right now it's showing Roman numerals. So in addition to seeing the actual chords, A flat, A flat 7, D flat, we can see the chord numerals at the same time. This can be changed to Nashville numbers. Or even solfeggio for people who like that do-re-mi. I also have section text displaying, and I've written in where the short guitar solo comes in. And I also have it showing bar settings. The only bar settings I've made in this song is a slight tempo increase of 2% at bar 25, and so the layer only shows up where necessary on this line to display that tempo change. And you have complete control over these layers. If you want to get rid of everything except the lyrics, no problem, so I'll do that right now. And now we just have the lyrics remaining. So we'll now have a look at some different ways you can enter lyrics into these layers. In the previous video about the style picker, I found a beautiful style of a guitar duo that would work really well with Amazing Grace. So I picked that style, added a bowed acoustic bass, and I actually entered the chords to Amazing Grace in, with a few interesting chord substitutions. And so now I'd like to add some lyrics. So first I'll turn on the lyrics layer. There are currently no lyrics in this song, so the lyrics layer doesn't appear on most lines, but it does appear on the line where the cursor is, which enables us to actually enter some lyrics there. And if I click on other lines, the lyric line appears on whatever row I've selected. So there are three approaches to entering lyrics into these layers. The first is to just start typing. The second is to copy and paste the lyrics for the whole song, and then go about the task of making them all line up correctly at the proper bars. And the third approach is to paste the lyrics into a text file, make them all line up there, and then paste that into the layers here. So method number one is to just start typing. So you can double-click on the lyrics line on any bar to start typing. Amazing Grace has a pickup, so I'll enter my first lyric in the last intro bar by double-clicking there. You can see the color has changed, which indicates I can start typing there. To go to the next bar, I can simply hit Tab. Tab moves this editing bar forward, Shift Tab moves it back. And I can just start entering the lyrics. Now here at bar 13, I'm going to deliberately make a mistake so I can show you how easy it is to fix small errors. Bar 13 should just be once was, and then bar 14 should be lost. But instead I'll type once was lost all in bar 13 and but now was found all in bar 14. So I've made a mistake, and if I realized after doing that these lyrics were supposed to be spaced out over more bars, I can just Shift Tab to get back to 13, and I'll use the left and right arrow keys to move the cursor to the beginning of Lost, and press Enter. Now that moves that lyric one bar to the right, and pushes all of the others over as well. And by simply using the arrow keys, Enter to push them to the right, and Delete to pull them to the left, I can easily shift these words around until they're correct. And now that it's playing, I realized I actually made another mistake. I wrote, once was lost, but now was found, which should have been, now am found. Now these editable layers were designed so that you could make edits during playback, so I don't even have to stop the song, I can just fix that mistake right now. The next way that you can approach entering lyrics is to just find lyrics online, copy them, and paste them directly into the lyric layer. If the lyrics you copied and pasted were arranged so that each new line represented a new bar, then you'd have to do little to no fixing up at all. But if it's not, there's a small amount of fixing you'll need to do. So I've copied the lyrics to Amazing Grace off of the internet, and I have them in this little text file. So I just copy that, go to the first bar of lyrics in the song, and paste. And you can see it's now got all the lyrics here, but they're not quite lined up correctly. As we saw before, we can use a combination of Tab to go forward, Shift Tab to go back through the bars, left and right arrows to move the cursor within the bar, and Enter or Backspace to push chunks of lyrics to the next bar or bring them back. And so you see it was a pretty quick task getting these lyrics all lined up. And the third way is to do all your actual editing in the text file first, and then when you paste it in, it will already be lined up. So in the text file, here just make sure that every line corresponds to a bar, and now when I paste it in, it lines up perfectly and I don't even have to do anything else. And editing section text works exactly the same way. In addition to the great layers, another exciting aspect of the chord chart is that you have much more control over the look. One thing is that you can now control the number of columns that you can view. In the past, this has always been limited to 4. You can choose how large you want the layers to be compared to the main chords. In previous versions of Band in a Box, we didn't have bar lines on the main screen. If you want it back to that, you can turn them off here. You can also choose where you want bar numbers displayed. Another new feature is superscript chord extensions. This means that, for example, the M7 for minor 7 is smaller than the main part of the chord and raised. There are some options for the superscripting, so you could go back to the old display method if you wanted to. You can also change the color of pretty much any element on the chord chart. You can also change the distance between rows, columns, and sections. There are lots of other settings here you can explore as well, and you can save any set of options you like with Load or Save Scheme. Or you can get back to the defaults with this button. One of the most requested features over the past few years has been the ability to import and export music XML files. We've now added this feature in both Band in a Box 2016 and RealBand 2016. One of the biggest reasons music XML support has been requested so much is that people want to be able to get their Band in a Box songs into notation programs such as Finale, Sibelius, and Guitar Pro as easily as possible while still retaining the chords from the Band in a Box song. This is something that just wasn't possible with MIDI files, as MIDI files don't actually contain any chord information, just individual notes. And of course, vice versa, exporting music XML from those notation programs and being able to open them in Band in a Box or RealBand, again, with the chords intact. I'm going to start with importing music XML, and to do that, first I have to export from another program. So I'm going to enter a short, simple melody with some chords in Finale, with 2 violin parts. I'll skip ahead in the video a little bit to the end of where I was adding notes. And more importantly, I'll also add some chords right here in Finale. I'll export it as XML. I'm saving it in a folder I made specifically for XML files, and then I can open that XML file from within Band in a Box. There are some additional options for how specifically to import, and it has the chords from Finale and all the notes I entered, which are now on the melody track. I'll put a high Q string sound on the melody track. And it's now playing the chords and melody from the Finale file in Band in a Box with this cool pop style. And of course, it can also be opened by RealBand 2016. And here are the chords. And here is the melody. And in this case, I chose to put the two parts from the XML file on two different tracks, rather than merge them like I did in Band in a Box. And now I'm going to try the reverse. Here I have a Brent Mason artist performance track, a great melody and solo by Brent on the melody track. Say I want to make a nice chart in Finale or Sibelius that has the notation and tab of what Brent was playing. Well, I'll save it as XML. Now you can pick multiple tracks just by control-clicking the tracks you want, but I'll just go for guitar this time. And I'll make sure we'll get notation and tab. And now I'll show you opening it in the various notation programs. Make Music's Finale Notepad, first of all, is a free program from Make Music with some of the features of Finale. And here is Brent's melody in notation and tab with the chords. And of course, same with opening it in Finale, which incidentally we sell at pgmusic.com. And here I'll open it in Sibelius. And here we have great looking notation, which if we wanted to, we can do more edits to. Another popular program that can import and export XML along with Guitar Tab is Guitar Pro. And this importing and exporting that we've seen with Finale and Sibelius can also be done in exactly the same manner with Guitar Pro. RealBand 2016 has many exciting new features, many of which have been added to both Band in a Box and RealBand. We've already seen the Stylepicker demonstrated in Band in a Box, and that is now available in RealBand 2016 too. And we've seen exporting and importing music XML files in Band in a Box, and that too is now available in RealBand. We're now going to look at a new feature exclusive to RealBand 2016, the Record Click Track feature. New with RealBand 2016, you are now able to easily record a click track along with any audio and/or MIDI, and then have RealBand automatically line up everything with tempo and time signature changes. This can have many useful applications. For example, if you've just recorded a strumming guitar part to a new song you've written, you just played it without even thinking of a click track, but now you want to line it up to the grid so you can start adding loops, real drums, or RealTracks, you can use the click track to do so. Or say you've got a song you purchased from iTunes that you want to learn, and you want to have it line up to the grid in RealBand to make it easier to learn. No problem. Or if you've recorded MIDI, again, not to a click track, you can have that MIDI line up to the grid without affecting the actual performance. So, the most common and simple thing most people will want to do is just open a song and then record bar lines throughout the whole song and then have it automatically line up to the grid. I've got this song that I've started working on. I just recorded myself strumming the guitar, not to a click track, so I think I sped up a little throughout the whole thing. But I'd like to make this line up correctly with the grid in RealBand, so I could then maybe record some other tracks and maybe even add some RealTracks to it. So I can go down to Record and press the arrow for Record Options, and you can see there's an item Record Click Track. And there's additional information here. Beat is K or note E5, and bar is L or note C5. What this means is that when we start recording, you can just type the letter L on your keyboard to indicate where the bar lines are. If you have an external MIDI keyboard, you can do the same with the note C5. There are options here for entering specific beats, but for now I'm just going to keep it extremely simple and just enter bar lines. But you can always tell what hotkeys to use before recording click tracks, since this information is always displayed here. So I select Record Click Track. I'll pick a blank track to designate as the click track. And now you see, as I type L during the recording, it displays where I've placed the bar lines on this track. And you can see that in addition to the lines on the actual click track, there are also green lines above that, indicating where those bar lines are. The last step is then to align this based on what I've done. I simply right-click, click track, align music to click track. And now we see the actual bar lines above are in the correct places. And when I play, we see here the bars and beats are displaying correctly. If I show the tempo map, we can see exactly what RealBand has done. It's put in tempo changes automatically at every bar, exactly calculated so it will match up with the bar lines I typed in. You can see that based on the bar lines I entered, it wavers between 64 and 65 beats per minute. I'm going to enter the audio edit window for my guitar track. And you can see those green lines are here as well. If I zoom in on some of them, you can see they're not all perfectly lined up with the guitar. This one, for example, is a little late. Well, you can easily move these around and then realign. Just click where you want the bar line moved to, and then right-click and go Click Track, Move Nearest Click Track Event to location you clicked on. And you could do that for any bar that you want to tighten up a bit. And then go back to Click Track, Realign, and you can see it's made the slight changes necessary to make the bar numbers match our edits. And you can do this as much as you want, and all you have to do is realign. Now that it's all lined up, this would make it much easier to record additional tracks. Or you could even now add real drums, loops, or RealTracks. I'll add some real drums. And maybe a loop. Say this Chillout drum loop. If I was to just take a few minutes to type in the chords that I actually played on my guitar, I could then add some RealTracks. Say this brand new Atmosphere pedal steel RealTrack. And maybe a bass style, say this Pop Believe bass. So that was a very simple process, just making a click track by recording bar lines and then having RealBand line it all up for you. Well, you can also easily deal with more complex songs. So I have this song in iTunes, Sheehan's Reel. It's a bit more complex in that it's 4/4 but has a bar of 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'd like to bring this into RealBand so I can learn it, play along with it, loop bars to practice, etc. So first of all, I'll just drag it directly from iTunes into RealBand. And now I'll do the same thing as before, but with one change. Because of that pesky 3/4 bar, I'll also record beats. And every time we go to record the click track, we're reminded right here that beats are entered with K and bars are entered with L. I'll pick a blank track to designate as the click track. Now you see it's appearing slightly differently. Because I'm entering beats too, they're appearing as dashes. And you can see there I got in that bar of 3/4, and it's only showing 2 dashes for beats 2 and 3. Now I'm entering all the beats, but I don't have to. If I stop entering beats, it will just automatically assume they're following the main time signature of the song, 4/4. You only really have to enter the specific beats if it's something different from the main song meter. So now that we're finished, you can see for these first bars, it's line dash 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 for bar, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Here it's line dash dash, indicating only 3 total beats in that bar, and then back to 4 beats. And here, since I got lazy, it's just the bar lines. So now I'll align to click track. Now I could have it set a new tempo every beat, since there are beat events that I recorded, but the only reason I entered beats was so it would know there is that bar of 3/4. So either way would be fine, but I'll just pick every bar. And the bar numbers are all now lined up correctly. And here, where I stopped entering the beats, it's still fine, because it's just taking the main time signature from the file, 4/4. If we look at the tempo map, we can see how RealBand aligned it all. And if we look at the meter map, we can see that it switches to 3/4 at bar 8, then back to 4/4 at bar 9. A third way to get these click tracks onto a song is to not record them at all, but just designate them within a file. I've loaded up a nice bossa here, with Ron Carter on bass, Kenny Barron on piano, Danny Gottlieb on drums, and Oliver Gannon playing this beautiful melody on guitar. Now this one doesn't have a constant tempo throughout either. It gradually speeds up from the start to the finish. But I'd still like it to line up with all the bars. But I'm going to be lazy with this one. I don't want to have to be tapping away, recording every bar. I know exactly how long the song is, so I want to just be able to enter the first bar and a bar near the end and have it just fill in the rest. So first of all, because I'm not recording a click track, I have to pick an empty track and designate it as the click track. So I'll go choose click track and pick track 2. Now I'm going to right-click at the very beginning where the musicians start in the timeline and manually add a bar event there. Now I happen to know this song is a 32-bar form and it plays through that form 4 times. So it's 128 bars total plus a short ending. So I'm just going to skip ahead and find that ending. So it's right here. So again, I'll right-click, but this time I'll make the current location the nth bar, meaning I'll be able to designate it myself. Since I know everything up to the short ending was 128 bars, I know this must be bar 129. And now we see at the top grid, it's got a green line where I put my bar. But it also now has these yellow lines. These are inferred bar lines. Since I entered bars 1 and 129, it of course knows where all the in-between bars should be. Incidentally, in the click track menu, there are options to take inferred bar lines and make them definite bar lines, which would change them to green. But for now, I'll just align to click track. And we can now see that by just entering the first and last bars, it's pretty close to lining up. But as I said before, I know this tune sped up a little bit throughout, which is why it probably doesn't line up perfectly. So maybe if I specify another location in the middle, maybe that will balance it out. I'll try that right in the middle at bar 65. So here is where bar 65 should be located. So I'll right-click, and I'll select Move Nearest Click Track Event to Location you clicked on. We can see that it changed to green, which means it's been changed from an inferred bar to a definite bar. But all of the others remain, so I'll just do a quick new realign. And that seems to have made it a lot better. And looking at the tempo map that was created, we can see it's roughly 141 beats per minute at the beginning of the song and has sped up a little bit to roughly 142 beats per minute by the end. And finally, this feature is great for aligning MIDI that wasn't recorded to a click track. For example, I've got a Chopin Nocturne loaded in RealBand. As you can hear, it's definitely not done to a click track, and if we look at it in notation, it's completely off rhythmically. This kind of playing is known as rubato, where the tempo is slowed down and sped up frequently and fluidly for dramatic effect. So I'd like this to line up to the bar numbers here, but I don't want to affect the fluid nature of the performance. Well, with this new feature, I can do just that. So I'll record click track. Now you see I have all of these bars and beats entered. And you can see where the tempo is quicker, the beats are closer together, and where it's slower, they're stretched out. And you can see at this bar it seems to be a dramatic change in tempo, even from beat to beat. So like before, I'll align music to click track, but this time I'll get tempo changes every beat because I want it to completely reflect every beat I entered. And if we look at the tempo map, we can see that it averages around 70 beats per minute, but gets as high as the 80s or as low as the 20s. And in notation, it definitely looks a lot better. It could be improved even more by fine-tuning the bar lines that I entered, but at least now it makes sense on a bar-by-bar basis. We hope you enjoy all of the great new features and new RealTracks and other content with Band in a Box 2016 and RealBand 2016. Have fun!